Greetings, U.S. history students. Mr. Taluki here. For today, Wednesday, the second week of school, I'm not really given another assignment today, but I do want to check in. I'm going to use this video to just go over some procedures and clarification stuff. I know going to online, whether you're in for face-to-face or remote learning, has been a big adjustment for everybody, myself included. A couple things that I wanted to go over. So in this video, I'm gonna do a clarification on journals, exactly what I expect there and how to go about doing it. Next up, I'm going to hit notes, which we're going to do the first lecture that I'll be delivering tomorrow, and explain how and why we do notes in my class, and why I recommend that even in this time of kind of, remote and online learning and Google Classroom, that you still develop that skill and make use of it. And then finally, I'm going to go over just how the participation grade works. And there was a little bit of confusion there as to where to post stuff. So hopefully with this video, we'll get everything cleared up. Just kind of taking I don't want to say a day break or pause, because I do want you to watch this video, and I'm going to want you to make a comment that'll contribute to the discussion grade, but no actual curriculum or text work for today. All right, first up for journals. I'm going to flip the screen here to show you on my computer the example that I typed up, which don't pay attention to the text in each journal. That was just kind of some filler that I threw in there. You'll create a Google Doc for journals. Every time I post a new journal entry in that column on PowerSchool, I do not need you to resubmit it to me every single time you do one. Also, I had a lot of questions come in, like, should I open up a new Google Doc every time Taluki gives us a journal entry? So no, I want you to do one Google Doc that would have all of your journals on it. Now, I'm guessing by the end of Q1, which is when we'll turn them in, you'll submit journals at the end of each quarter. I've done it that way for many years, so it's kind of a big grade that comes in, but it should be an easy grade for you as long as you have it formatted correctly, how I am kind of showing you here, and you have at least 4 lines of writing for each one. Most of the responses are kind of opinion-based, and I don't look at it like a test or quiz. So as long as you're participating and staying on top of things, getting those all written out, and then you submit them at the end of the quarter, it should be a real easy grade for you that helps pad your overall grade. Now remember, journals are 25% of your overall quarterly grade. When you open up, and hopefully everybody's already got their first journals, or their journals Google Doc created, you'll put your name in the top right-hand corner, and then tell me which class period you're enrolled in. And then switching over to the left side of the screen, left align it, you'd write in Journal 1, and then below that you drop 1 line and you put in your 4 lines of response. Now, you're not limited to 4 lines of response. You can write 10, 12 lines if you have a lot to say on whatever that particular prompt is, but 4 lines is the minimum. I look for you to at least have that much in there. Another thing, just point of clarification, keep it at 12-point font when you're typing. I've had some clever students in the past that'll adjust it up and do 18-point font, but then when I make the switch and look at it, it's like they have 2 lines of writing rather than the 4. So keep it at 12-point font. The margins should just be, how Google spits it out to you for a blank document. And then you just keep that running tally going, where when you submit them at the end of the quarter, I'll see journal 1, 2, 3, and so on. My guess would be we'll probably have, I would say, somewhere between 20 to 30 journals at the end of the quarter. We'll do 1 or 2 weekly, and you just keep a tally going on that one Google Doc. Now, you can share it with me now. If you're not sure if you're doing it right, I'm happy to give you feedback anytime. So if you ever want me to just give it a quick look over and tell you if you're on the right track, I'm happy to do that, but they're not due yet. I'll tell you, probably the very beginning of that last week of the quarter, I'll send out several reminders, and at that time you'll want to submit it to me, and I'll tell you how many journals you should have total. If you had missed any, maybe you were out sick or had a family emergency go on at some point in the marking period, you can go through and always retroactively make those up. Now, I know there's probably some procrastinators out there that might not do any of the journals now because I'm not regularly checking them in, and you won't see it like ding your grade or knock you down. You I guess could do that, but I would strongly recommend against it. My advice is do those as they come up. Be proactive on it, stay on top of things, and that way you're not stressing out that last week of the marking period going through and trying to do 20 different journal entries where it's going to feel like you're writing up an essay. Hopefully that everybody's good on journals. If you do have any questions, send me a message, or I am going to expect you to post at least one comment in this assignment's comment section today, and that would be a good spot to ask the question, because if you have a question, I'm guessing you're probably not the only one with that question, and then I can just kind of answer those publicly and get everybody on the same page. All right, next up on my list. Tomorrow will be our first day of doing actual lecture notes, where you're going to hear me talking, and in normal times, I would have a PowerPoint going in the room or a Google Slides. I usually have one student come up to my desk and they will click through the slides as I tell them to move on and advance to the next one. And I'm going to be not just reading off the slide, like what text I have on there, or just explaining the photograph or map. I give you extra information that kind of corresponds with each one. I try to keep all of my slides, all of my PowerPoints pretty brief and to the point. I'll probably attach that to the assignment, but during this time of remote learning and kind of the semester of Google Classroom, I'm gonna try this out and we'll see how it works, where I'm just gonna sit at my desk with my PowerPoint pulled up on my computer. You won't see my beautiful face smiling at you. You're just going to see what would be on the slides, and then I will go through and click through each one and give you supplemental information on all of them. Now, in normal times, and I'm still going to kind of stick to this even for this semester, I always recommend students take good notes. I think note-taking is a very good life skill. When you sit and think about it, chances are, whatever job you get in life, you're not going to have to recite facts about Teddy Roosevelt or World War II or whatever is in the curriculum that I'm going to be covering and teaching to you this year. I think you're a more well-rounded person if you know a little bit or a lot about U.S. history, but the odds of you actually using facts from U.S. history class in your day-to-day job 10, 20 years from now are pretty low. If you become a history teacher, or you're working at a museum, or a historian where you're writing books, then maybe you would. But for most jobs out there, if you're a consumer's lineman, or you're working at a daycare, or working at Myers or something like that, you're probably not going to need a lot of U.S. history facts. I recommend the note-taking, though, because pretty much any job you can think of, whether you start your own business, or you're working for Consumers Energy, or at a daycare, or whatever the case may be, you are going to have to look at informational text sometimes and kind of break it down and understand exactly what's relevant to me. It's always a good skill to just organize your thoughts, and I think note-taking, that's one of the things that I try to really help give my students the skill set for how to be effective note takers. If you're college bound, if you plan on going to community college or a university, you're going to need to be a decent note taker, because most college classes it's a professor standing up lecturing at you, throwing tons of information your way, and you don't want to write down every single thing they say, because your hand's going to cramp up and then you're just going to be overloaded and you'll never be able to find anything in your notes. You want to write down those key, most important things. So we'll practice at that and go as the year progresses, the year goes on, and I'll answer questions as they arise. Now, normal years, and it'll be the same this year and this semester, I never require students to take notes in my class. However, I highly recommend it, and I try to incentivize it. So what I mean by that is, say this was last year in class, first quarter, and the first section of notes I'm going to be doing tomorrow will be on the Industrial Revolution. I require that everybody has their phones down, is listening to me, is respectful, head up, tuned in, and paying attention to what I'm saying. Whether you take the notes or not, that's totally up to you. How I incentivize the note-taking, and why probably I would say 70 to 80% of the students in my class do take notes, is I allow you to use it on tests and quizzes. So there will be certain quizzes coming up that are going to go directly off of like these PowerPoint lecture videos that I'm going to make. For those, I will kind of go through in my videos, and I'm going to highlight and tell you exactly what you need to know, and I will emphasize certain things. So if you're jotting that down in a spiral notebook as you're maybe working from home at the kitchen table, or maybe you're in a desk and you got earbuds in and you're watching it here at school, I'll go through and highlight and emphasize the most important critical facts. And if you jot that stuff down, it should come in handy for you as certain quizzes come up down the road. Also, I can say I think probably 95% of my exam questions that you'll take, and that ends up being 20% of your overall semester grade, I would say 95% of them come directly from the notes that I give. That's kind of how I build my exams around that, and I will allow you, whether you're taking it at home or here in school and you're in my advisory class, I do allow students to use notes, handwritten notes on my on all my exams and assessments. Now, I really won't know this year. I don't see most of you daily. I'm not going to know if you're taking notes or not. It's totally up to you. Again, I encourage it. You take those notes if you do choose to take the notes, do it however it works for you. I prefer, I'm kind of old-fashioned, older generation than you guys. I like to have like a spiral notebook or a piece of paper and actually jot things down with a pen or pencil. If you guys prefer to do your notes on like a Google slide and or a Google Doc, and you just want to label that my U.S. history notes, that's totally fine. You definitely want to label it and give it headings so you kind of stay organized. I recommend you write down as little information as possible, where you still kind of encapsulate and get the basic gist or the basic idea of what's going on, those key words, key facts. On your own notes, I always say that they don't have to make sense to me. I'm not going to be reading your notes. They have to make sense to you. So you kind of want to write as little as possible where you get that key relevant information, and then you have to be able to decode them down the road when you're taking the assessments. So hopefully that goes over notes and gives you a clear understanding of what I expect there, or what I encourage you to do. Again, ask me questions if you're unclear about anything regarding notes or my upcoming lectures. It might be a little bit more clear for you tomorrow after I do that initial Industrial Revolution like PowerPoint lecture. If you have any questions, always feel free to hit me up and ask me. Last thing, there was a little bit of confusion as to, so 25% of your grade is also participation, which will primarily be checking in and making comments, adding questions or comments on class discussion threads. Every class period, my first, second, sixth, and seventh hour U.S. histories have their own Google Classroom page. Every time when I post an assignment, I will, if it's a discussion thread assignment, I'll go in and just kind of count up and see who made comments and who contributed to the conversation, and then who was MIA and didn't make any contribution to it. You'll get points for that. I'm going to score it a little bit different from the one that you saw go in, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, where that was just for the very initial thread. I only made it worth 1 point, but right now that's still, it's still weighted as 25% of your grade. So right now that 1 point, whether you made it or not, that's a 25% drop if you're taking a 0 on it. I know we're all getting off. It has been maybe a little bit of a rocky start adjusting to this new way of learning. I'll accept late work on that. If you go back and retroactively make a comment on that very first discussion thread, maybe shoot me an email or some sort of message and let me know that you did that, and I will go in on PowerSchool and adjust your grade. For the future, moving forward, I'll put in a 10-point participation column once a month. So one just went up yesterday. There was 10 points, and it was September participation, and that'll primarily come from our different discussion threads, which I plan on posting those once or twice a week, kind of similar to journals. For those, I would like it now. This was something that really confused the heck out of me, and I got about 60 emails in a 10-minute period right after I entered in zeros for everybody that had not contributed to the discussion. So there are 2 different spots where you can post questions on every assignment on Google. Now, why you need 2 comment sections, I don't know. some genius in Silicon Valley came up with that and edited that program. I was looking at the basic, like the comment section under instructions. I can make comments in that portion too. 90% of students made comments in, I want to make sure I say this right, in the short answer comment section. Now over there, I can't post any comments, but I was the one that posted the assignment, of course. I can reply to any comments that are made by the class, and in either of the comment sections, all students can see all of those responses. So make sure when you do add a response for a discussion thread, be respectful, be nice, don't be a jerk or firing on anybody else. Don't say anything that is not school appropriate. Whether you're in the building or at home doing remote learning, you still have to keep all comments school appropriate, no cursing or just being mean or nasty to anybody. Not that we generally, I think, would have to worry much about that, but keep it school appropriate. And for future reference, let's always post for discussion threads in the short answer comment section. And then if you ask a question in there, I should be able to respond to your specific question. If you just have a comment, I often won't respond to it. I'll just let the discussion go, and you can kind of build off of what other students are saying, and you can reply to other students as well too. For each of those to start with, I'm going to say, on a discussion thread, I need you to make one comment. All right, that's not a very high bar to set, especially with it being 25% of your grade. It really can be anything that would tie into the writing prompt, or not the writing prompt, the discussion prompt that I'm laying out there for you. Also, feel free to just ask a question. If there's something you're unclear about or you're not quite understanding that, you post a question on there too in the discussion thread. That'll count and get you your points, and then I will respond to that, or sometimes you might have another student respond to it and clear things up for you. So for today, I know I got a little bit long on this video. I'm going to try to keep all of my videos at about 15 minutes or less, and I can see on my camera I'm running at 17 minutes right now. I hope you stayed through and watched it right on through to the end. Today's assignment is, I just want you in the short answer comment section for this posting on Google Classroom for today's assignment, go in and make any comment. I just want to see that everybody's kind of got it and is going to post in the right spots. It can be as simple as, for today, you can just go into that short answer section and say, all set, Taluki, I got it, I know where to post at. That'll definitely suffice. Also, should you have any questions about anything I covered in this video, that would be a great spot to throw that question or comment out there. Everybody should be able to see them in the whole class. And as I had said earlier in the video, if you have a question about something on this assignment, chances are you're probably not the only one. I try to be as clear and concise as possible, but I know I also have a tendency to get long-winded, and sometimes I can talk in circles too. So don't be shy. Post any questions or comments on there. Give me a little bit of something, and that'll get everybody off. As soon as you make that first comment, I'm going to award you full credit and just assume that you will be participating in assignments for the discussion threads. So as soon as you make that comment, I'm going to be entering grades today, and you should see 10 points pop in, and that'll give you basically all your points in that 25% category. If you don't post anything on this assignment until I get some feedback from you on a discussion thread, you're going to have a 0 there. So that's really going to dock your grade pretty hard. All right, I hope this video finds you all well. Get on that short answer section, post me a comment, and then be ready to rock and roll tomorrow. It'll be the very first lecture of the year. Take care.